Well, and that's the problem with 18 games, Mike. You look at all the teams right now with 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. Those teams are out of it. And 18 games isn't going to improve their chances to make the postseason. They've got that few wins for a reason. They're bad football teams, and so the 18 games isn't going to cure that. And they're suddenly they have an extra game, so they have a chance. They don't have a chance to win, so you're just going to have more bad games later in the season. In week 16, 17, 18, teams are already going to clinch divisions, so they're going to be resting some players. It's going to be some garbage football late in the season. If you don't play fantasy football, that's the thing they'd run into is the Mark Cuban deal, is the oversaturation of, we've got some really bad football, some really bad games, but please watch anyway on national TV. That's what I worry about, Mike, going to 18 games.
And I think it calls for, at some point, expanding the playoff field because that keeps more teams alive. Now, the problem is if you go to 16, half the league gets in. And, like, if they would do that, okay, there would be some people who will huff and puff and say you can't have half the league in the playoffs. Well, first of all, show me the law that says you can't have half the league in the playoffs. And second of all, people like to huff and puff, but they're not going to blow anyone's house down. They're still going to watch it. And frankly, I'd rather have 16 spots because these garbage games wouldn't be garbage. And these teams that are at 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins now could have a plausible hope, and one of them would. And there's always a team, I say this all the time, you could probably put a reel together of all the times I say it. There's always a team right around Thanksgiving that's near 500. They figure it out, they start winning, and they make things interesting. But with only 7 playoff spots, there's only so many teams that can do that. And I'm surprised. And look, we're not talking about a high-quality game tonight with a ton of storylines, so give us the liberty here to make this point. I'm surprised we've heard no talk yet, Charean, about expanding the league. I'm stunned by that. In 6+ years since the legalization, or at least the Supreme Court decision that opened the floodgates for the legalization of sports wagering one state at a time, I'm surprised we've yet to hear anything about 34 teams or 36 teams. And I think it would be 2 at a time, incrementally, up to a maximum of 40. I'm just surprised that's never been floated, never been mentioned, because I feel like that's in the pipeline somewhere behind 18 games and maybe in front of 19 games.
Well, and there's still some markets, Mike, that would support NFL football. There's a lot of them. There's at least 4 that would support NFL football, have enough money in the community, business money, to buy the suites and the things that makes the owners the most money. So, yeah, I think at some point that's a reality, is that the league is going to expand. I would expect, and you're right, by 2 makes perfect sense. One of the AFC, one of the NFC, and we roll with it. So, yeah, I think that's coming too. I think there's a lot of things that are going to change in this league. And there is a question of, is there oversaturation of the NFL? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We haven't seen it yet. It just continues to keep growing. And I think a big part of that, obviously, is fantasy football. People love playing it, and it's exciting, and they get into it. And I don't have a fantasy team, but I know a lot of my friends do, and that's the only reason they watch the NFL, especially now in this market with the Cowboys. They watch it for the fantasy football.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.